We're going to take a little break from the politics tonight, if that's okay for you on a Friday. We have an interesting guest. A friend of mine in the business said, hey, listen, you got to interview this woman. She's kind of got it going on. She's been on X Factor, the show, and American Idol. And I will tell you, I've been an American Idol fan for years and years and years. I still watch it. And even though my daughter and my wife have said, we're not watching this show anymore, I'm still watching it. So Jillian Jensen is my guest tonight. She's got a party that debuts her brand new album this evening here in town, and so we just thought it would be kind of fun, and we'll take our pedal off the political metal if we can for just a couple of minutes, all right? But in the meantime, we should go to the rundown on my state of mind. Welcome into the broadcast. Thank you very much. By the way, I am Dan York, and you know who you are. Yeah, that was a close call. I spent some time in Scotland here last month, and I'll give you my own impression of what I was seeing. This is, I can't keep score, but we as Americans have to keep score, and so we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, this is kind of like just giving the opposition, or the new opposition in this particular case, a running head start. And I'll discuss that from the Board of Elections story from Wednesday night. What else do we have here this evening? Yes, they all got together. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. You know, when they all get together, they all like each other, and all the fibs and fights that they had prior to the primary don't matter that much anymore. And then there are those who just can't stop getting over Buddy Cianci being a candidate. Let's go to the full rundown and kind of break it down a little bit, one by one. First item, yeah, they stay put, meaning they will remain in the United Kingdom, although they will have more and more juice, it seems, from this very narrow vote. Not as narrow at the end as it seemed to be overnight. Here's the headline that tells you it's a no-go. 55-45 no. 84% turnout. 97% of the electorate actually were registered for that vote. 84% turnout. That's close to a new world record. Here's CBS.
Campaigners who said no to Scotland's independence went wild when they heard they'd won.
Because we know that we're proud Scots, but we're proud to be British, and we're better together.
The majority of Scottish voters rejected the referendum to end Scotland's 307-year partnership with the United Kingdom.
I'm a bit heartbroken now.
Britain's Prime Minister says now's the time for all of the United Kingdom to come together and move forward.
It's kind of a mystery because a lot of people couldn't figure out why this whole thing started. It really was an effort in many ways to build kind of a socialist welfare state environment inside Scotland. That was what I've gleaned from it. That's what I've read, and that's what I kind of understood when I was over there. During the summertime, I got a chance to go on a golf trip to Scotland. It was one of my bucket list trips. You know, went to St. Andrews. I should show you some pictures from my trip. It was just unbelievable. Tears in my eyes at the beauty of some of these places. The Vatican of golf, the RNA, the setting at Old St. Andrews, all of that. I wish I had a game, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, along the trip, I spoke to at least a half a dozen people about the election, because you know me, I'm always asking about that kind of stuff. And nobody that I met said they were voting yes. So as this whole thing was coming down the pike and people were thinking, oh my gosh, this could happen, it really shook the markets. It has certainly shaken the core government in London, and you're going to see, you know, the Scots be able to get a little bit more freedom. But at the end of the day, they're very lucky, I think, that they didn't vote yes, because I don't think their economy could hold up what they intended to do. You know, there's 5+ million people there in that country. There are more people in Massachusetts, for crying out loud. We're close. Anyway, interesting. Status quo, sort of. Next item. How many people are in Massachusetts? I have to double check on it. I have to PolitiFact myself on that. I'll look up during the break. I think there's 6 billion people in Massachusetts, aren't there? Is it close? Anyway, who are we training now? I don't know sometimes who's who, who's what. Here's the latest headline on this. The Congress votes to arm the Syrian rebels. These are the moderate rebels if you're scoring at home, and you better be scoring at home because it's hard to keep track, don't you think?
Plans to tackle ISIS militants on the ground in Syria are now taking shape. Yesterday, the Senate followed the House and voted to give the president the authority to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels.
The strong bipartisan support in Congress for this new training effort shows the world that Americans are united in confronting the threat from ISIL.
The United States has been using airstrikes to hit ISIS targets in Iraq, and today France joined the fight. As the world ramps up its efforts to take on the terror group, ISIS continues its propaganda campaign, releasing yet another video, this time showing British journalist John Cantley being held captive.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess, is the current theme running through who we arm and who we don't. It's not all the president's fault that it's so hard to figure out who's who and who's what in these very difficult times in the Middle East, but that seems to be the theory. The problem with the theory and the problem with the whole philosophy is that the enemy of the enemy is your friend may not be your friend anymore, because the enemy of the enemy becomes the enemy, and then you look for a new enemy of the enemy who is your friend to supplant that, right? Holy cow. Next item, the Providence the Rhode Island Board of Elections on Wednesday night. I was not here live last night. We had Dan McKee in an original program last night, but I didn't get a chance to give you a rundown. This was very interesting at the Rhode Island Board of Elections on Wednesday evening when Bob Healy, the former Cool Mooser, who was drafted by the moderate party guys who took over the moderate party from Ken Block when Ken Block split to become a Republican and run for governor. Are you following all of that? His status as the moderate party candidate for governor was challenged by the Republican Party. And I had Bob here on Tuesday night, I think, and he was kind of going through the files and the story and saying, you know what, I really don't know what their argument is here. The moderate party is a legitimate party. The candidate that was going to be governor, running for governor, Jim Spooner, has a physical disability and can hand it over. The chairman is duly assigned. They've registered in the places they need to register. I'm not sure what the Republicans were arguing, as Bob said after the hearing to Eyewitness News.
The issue becomes whether or not I'm a candidate. However they want to slice and dice it, it's their choice. They made their analysis. I thought the analysis was reasoned. They did look at the law. They did look at the issues that were raised. They looked at the factual filings and the documents that were always filed. I think they did their job. They couldn't do more.
And so he's referring to the Board of Elections' discretion, which went his direction. So he's an official candidate for governor, which tells me he's going to get kind of a primary position along with Alan Fung, the Republican, and Gina Raimondo, the Democrat, in television debates, and my guess is anyway, and he should, because he's got equity in this political system, even though he hasn't done much, of course, right through 2014. The thing about it is, protesting his status and failing to execute and bring home a decision by the Board of Elections is like I don't know, it's a major league in-kind contribution to the Bob Healy campaign by the Republicans. The Republican Party made the appeal. Alan Fung didn't have anything to do with it. No doubt that they're telegraphing that they have more of a problem than Gina Raimondo, and Gina Raimondo is pretty nonplussed about the entire thing. You swing and a miss. Sometimes it's just better to walk away, welcome him to the race, and battle him on the issues. Now you've more or less telegraphed that he's a major threat in a lot of ways, although look, there's a lot of time between now and the end of the election, but in a lot of ways, Alan Fung is done by elevating Healy's status so controversially. Does that make any sense to you? We'll talk more about it next week as we roll closer to the general election. Speaking of the general election, Democratic unity is always purposeful when you are post-primary and get together. Here's the headline at WPRO.com. State Democrats stand with Gina Raimondo, and here's a picture of them all behaving well. I'm told that while they took a picture together, none of them would stand together for questions. How's that for a little ditty? I don't know, just a little political tidbit there for you. It's just about enough to hold your nose and hang out with the people you just ran against and others that you may not like or agree with. But when it comes to talking, they all go into their separate little corners of the charter school. This is a charter school that the Democrats like. Let's put it this way. This is not the charter school that Dan McKee has created. Anyway, they're in Cranston for a reason. Why? Alan Fung is from Cranston. Follow this. And speaking of politics and the crazy things that go along with it, here's the last item on the agenda tonight. This is $1 million project now, getting Buddy Cianci out of the race. GoLocalProv.com put this story out earlier today. They got a hold of a confidential memo written by Lauren Adrian, who ran for mayor, first as a Democrat, then moved over to the independent side, and then quit, thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to get in the way, and Buddy Cianci could win. He kind of had a little panic attack, because, you know, Cianci is more favorable, the pundits say, with a multiple candidate race, right? So this is all about Buddy Cianci and Jorge Elorza and how they're going to this. Jorge, he was on the program earlier this week. The East Siders are very, very worried that this guy, Buddy Cianci, is going to be the next mayor, and so they're going to try to raise, in short order, anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million on an anti-Buddy campaign through a 501c4, which is, you know, a private fund for a social purpose. And I guess the social purpose would be that Buddy Cianci can't be the mayor. It'd be very interesting to see, A, if they raise the money, and B, whether they're successful. But they're, you know, they're adding firepower. Here was Dan McGowan's headline at WPRI.com. The former campaign manager, Jake Basalian, I believe is his name, young man in his late 20s who's kind of talented. He, right now, is, because he got no candidate, Solomon loses, right, in the primary. There he is, there's Mike Solomon. Now his campaign manager is heading the anti-Buddy effort. These guys just don't seem to understand something, man. You just keep making Buddy Cianci the bad guy, worse than some people think he is, it's going to boomerang. Vision and issues, but, you know, what do I know? By the way, Roger Goodell had a press conference today. It was too late in our production schedule to talk about it, but I've never seen the NFL commissioner so meek and humble. The NFL could use a little bit of that humble pie, no doubt. We'll talk more about it next week. When we come back, she's been on X Factor, she's been on American Idol, and she's got a new album, and it's nice to kind of sit back and talk to a non-politician for a night. Stay with us. Welcome back. So here's a piece of a new album that is being released by a local star. Listen.
I finally found my words today, and I can honestly say I deserve better. Give me better, 'cause I'm through a second and I am the one left.
Jillian was just mentioning that she's heard this song a whole bunch of times because you just did your video for it?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Welcome
yes,
to the
true.
program, by the way. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You bet. I've always wondered what that's like when you write a song, you record a song, and then you perform a song over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Concerts, whatever. I mean, you're not at that stage with this thing yet, right? But you might be at some point.
I actually just started performing this song at shows maybe a couple months ago. I was on tour in June and July, and that's when I started playing it at shows, but I wrote it well over 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
But
You say it's a very personal song?
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't perform it
Why?
before that.
Why is it so personal?
It's kind of, well, the story behind it is like, you know, I had a boyfriend at the time, and he broke up with me. He said he thought there was something better for him, you know. And so as a result, I kind of lost a lot of faith in myself and what I deserved. And then I had like a realization at one point where I was like, you know something, no. I'm the one that deserves better, because I deserve someone who's gonna be there for me and support me through everything. And
Was that your first heartache?
I don't know, like I had a couple other relationships before that, but I feel like that was the first like real
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, the first real thing.
Hurts.
We're okay now.
And isn't good music?
No hard feelings.
Isn't good music in a lot of ways really, you know, from within? So if you write it in pain, I'm sure
Yeah,
it comes out the way you want to.
Yeah, you know, I think the good thing about the song is that it's so easy to interpret in different ways, you know, because now listening to it, I don't even think about that situation. I think about how realistically, it was myself standing my own way of what I deserve.
This is pretty heady.
This is very.
We just got to
Sorry,
meet each
we
other,
just
and we're having a session
That's
here.
serious. You're like my therapist.
Who's
Sorry.
charging who for this particular session?
I'll give you 100.
You have this is part of a new album called Stages.
Yes.
Stages of your life. Stages of
Stages
what?
in general. You know, I've been on so many different stages and in different. I'm bar singer, wedding singer, musician. I was on X Factor. You know what I mean? Like I've been on so many different stages in front of like 3 people, in front of thousands of people, and they've all taught me different things about myself. But then also the different stages of my life have made me this person. So it just kind of fit, I guess.
All right.
The title just fit.
So you're opening. You got to. Want to show that? We'll show it a couple of times just so people can catch up. I mean, if you're doing nothing right now, you can go on over to Simon's 667 on Valley Street and throw $20 down and hang out at the album release party with Jill and her fans. Nice little event, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. There's going to be quite a few people there, and yeah, I'm excited. Sorry, I don't really know what else to say other than I'm excited.
Have you had a lot of these?
No,
Is this your first
this
album?
is my first. Well, I've had 2 albums out, but this is like my debut album. I think I released my first album when I was 14. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was 14. Like I thought I was writing about love, and I didn't know what love was. You know.
And now you're the ripe old age of what?
I'm 22.
Okay. So now you're
I know a little bit
veteran.
more. But you know what I mean? Over the years, like my sound has been like established.
Sure.
I finally realized where I want to be musically. And so I call it my debut album because this is kind of like the best representation of myself, I feel, in a long time. So.
Very good. I'd love to know a little bit about the experience on those 2 shows, and we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
I felt it in your touch. The moment lingered on my skin.
So of course you can't make a new piece of music without a video these days. Do you make a video for every piece of music that you put together?
I hadn't told anyone this, but I'll tell you. I am
because I'm your therapist.
Well, yeah, you're my therapist, and I mean, where else to tell people something than here? No, I am doing 4 music videos for my album, and they'll come out at the beginning of each month, October 1st, November 1st, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just kind of the plan. You know, visual content is so vastly important these days.
Right.
And
it's a different world, and you're as a 22-year-old trying to break into the big time with your stuff. I mean, we were talking during the break, the old traditional way of having a producer who had a contract, contact with the music into a radio industry, blah blah blah. You have this hit on the air, on the radio, but you're off and flying. Now, there are more opportunities, but it's much more horizontal. It's not as deep, right?
Yes.
So it's a very, very.
Basically, everybody's pushing for the same exact thing.
Right.
And 1 out of every million are actually.
So how do you get your stuff out? You produce your own album, you get your own stuff on video?
I actually did a Kickstarter. I don't know if you know what that is. Kickstarter basically is a way to raise funds based on your audience.
Okay.
So I put that together. I raised about $25,000, and I did my album, and that's how I'm doing the music videos and, you know, everything that packaged with the album. And I don't know, I mean, I'm doing that for YouTube and hopefully just building more of an audience and just hoping to build.
At what point do you end up actually making money on your stuff? When
is music about money anymore?
Well, I don't know.
It's really not. Music, the people who do music, like, honestly, I am a wedding singer to make money. Like, if I want to pay my bills. That's what I do. This is just for my own enjoyment and, like, to see a smile on someone else's face. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, tell me about the Idol experience. I don't watch X Factor. I can't get to it. But I've been watching Idol forever.
It's not even here in the U.S. anymore, so no one's watching it.
Right. So how was the Idol experience?
Idol was fun. I mean, I had already done X Factor, so I kind of knew the ins and outs type of deal. But I think what made it a lot more enjoyable for me was because every clip they did show of me, it was me as a musician, me like doing me versus about my past or my life story.
You got to the live shows, correct?
I did. I unfortunately didn't get picked to sing that night, and we were all pretty livid. I'll use that word.
Really?
But you know, I finally wanted to be on the live show. That's all I wanted. I didn't care if I got cut that night. I just wanted to sing live. That was it.
It didn't happen.
Didn't happen, but
You got on the show, but you didn't sing. Is that?
no, I got through. So the top 30. What happened was I made it through all those silly Hollywood Week rounds and everything, and
How's that, by the way?
oh my God, they let you go to bed at 3 in the morning. They have to wake you up at 6 in the morning, and you have to sing all day. So like,
Right.
how do you have a voice by the end of it?
And so that whole thing where you're groups and all that kind of thing, it is as stressful as the show reflects it,
yeah.
or worse.
Yeah, actually, I was blessed. I got to meet my boyfriend by doing group rounds, so that was cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're dating again?
Yeah,
You've got a relationship,
I've been in a relationship for about 9 months now.
one that works,
Yeah, one that works.
one that you're happy about.
Yes.
Well, see.
Yeah,
Good.
he did well on the show. Did
So
you?
you're all healed. Pay the receptionist on the way out. Your therapy is over.
I got you.
Congratulations on your new project.
Thank you
And
so much.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And again, you guys want to show up as the party's going on. It's downtown today, or actually on Valley Street at Simon 677. Jillian Jensen, my guest, and something tells me we'll hear a lot more about her. I like the song.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get a copy.
Thank you. I would like that.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Your State of Mind when we come back. Stay with us. And you know the postscript on Jillian, her new boyfriend is Alec, you know, the guy from Alex from New Hampshire, who was the third runner-up there. It was phenomenal. How about that? So cool. We followed him. Your State of Mind. We'd like to follow what you think. Here's how you get in touch. 228-1886. State of Mind at myritv.com. Tweet or Facebook post. Here's the latest narrative by one of our viewers. On email, Robert says, watch the show for the first time. You asked some really good questions. After watching Elorza, that would be Jorge Elorza, the candidate for mayor, I realized he's not the man for the job. He lost my vote. He has lunch with Cianci to reach out to him, but he's an embarrassment. Meeting Cianci is an embarrassment, according to Elorza. But Elorza did try to buy him a little bit of lunch. Maybe that was to influence Cianci, the then radio personality versus the mayor candidate. It's crazy. The politics is crazy. Who you like, who you don't, changes every single day. Well, have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday night on Getting Your State of Mind.